So we're here from Grange Primary Academy, which is a slightly bigger than average school in Gloucester, inner city Gloucester. We're an area of quite high deprivation, and one of the fabulous things about our school is that we have a huge ground. We were quite good at using the outside areas when we started our journey. However, we have become hugely much better, and we have just been awarded with a gold OPAL award, so we're really proud of that. So we started our journey, our OPAL journey, in September 2020. This is a plan of our site, so you can see quite how huge it is. We've got a whole wooded area, which we actually call the meadow, but that wooded area is the small sort of slightly off-centered square that you can see in the left-hand side of our picture. So in context, that's a huge area. So that's one of our biggest benefits, as well as something that's been difficult for us, having such a huge ground. We met with parents, we met with children, we met with staff, our whole community, to talk about what our quick wins would be, and we came up with a plan of our site. So our site looked a little bit like this when it was split up into different areas. In terms of COVID, at this point we had gone into lockdown, although we had children in school, they just returned. So having separate areas was actually really good for us, because it meant that we would have one group of children in the wooded area. So that would be, say, year 2 in the wooded area for a week, and year 3 would be in the football pitch for a week, and then year 4 would be loose parts, and we would rotate the groups around, and that was really good for us. But so we started off by splitting up our setting into these areas, and we then carried on using that during COVID to separate the year groups. So we really learned, and the staff that manned and used the areas really learnt how to get to grips with them. We did a risk benefit analysis of all of the areas as well when we started. So the member of staff that was with the loose part play area would have been with year 2 with that for a week, and they would have really got to grips with all the pros and cons of using that, and then they might have moved to the sandpit for a week following that. So all areas and all children used all areas with all staff in the beginning. We also set to work using the parent helpers. They helped us make a big sandpit that we used, and they helped us to clear the site, and a lot of this was done during lockdown. That helped us because we had some parents that weren't able to go into work, so they were using their spare time and their free time to support us with making the sand pit. And we you can see one of our play leads setting fire to some of the equipment that was broken in the bottom picture as well. One of our big issues was whether we were going to use our mugger or not use our mugger. So you can see from the site map that our mugger is on the playground, and it's quite hidden. We use it a lot for PE, and we thought initially that it would be a great area for us to have dressing up. There's a stage next to it which we thought we would use, and we did use it during COVID when we had to separate children. However, when we then brought the whole school back together for whole school playtimes, we found that our site was just way too big to incorporate the staffing of the area, so we have stopped using it as an OPAL area, and we now just use it for PE. But that was a big sort of question that we had with ourselves about whether we would continue to use it or not.
Now, the way in which we manage our play is very child-led. So as mentioned before, we use something called a benefit risk analysis on all of our areas whenever they are introduced. We do this with staff, but we also do it with children. That way they have ownership with their class teacher of the areas that they're playing in. We always ask them, what is good about having a sandpit or a mud kitchen or loose parts? And the children themselves come up with those benefits first, which is really important. We then look at the risks, and we explain to them our duty of care, how we have to keep them safe, and how actually we're being really innovative with our play and letting them play with these things that their parents didn't have, things that other schools in the local area don't have. So we do place emphasis on that, what could go wrong. And again, they generate this list, and in addition to that, we then link in our school code to look at how we can minimise these risks through being respectful, through checking before we go anywhere, through being honest if something is broken or you have actually thrown sand in someone's face purposely or accidentally, being honest about that and then dealing with those consequences. So this here are some photographs of what our site is like now. And it's really quite interesting because the loose parts are really popular. The tree stumps, the tyres, the almost bric-a-brac, if you will, to make the dens. You can see in the bottom corner we have a cable reel with some crates, and this is something from our Key Stage 1 children. And I think what we have found through our journey with loose parts, the rule of plenty is definitely something we try and aspire to. And as a result of this, we've created some links with some of the local businesses in our community who have donated all sorts of things. Scaffolding planks, deck chairs, we've had lots of tyres, crates, pallet tops. We've even had donations of pots and pans from mud kitchen area. One of the things we found really interesting is the parts that we had for a caravan to make a reading area or place to play, and our small world play area, the two pictures in the centre and to the left hand side. They're the areas that are not really played with as much, with children favouring those loose parts. To help manage play, we also created a competition in school of what we could name our play leaders who were children, and this was a whole school competition and it really grew legs and ran, and the children themselves proposed and voted for the name Grange Ranger. So they are a Grange Ranger, they'll go outside at lunchtime, they will help support play, they will help set up areas, they will know what to do with broken loose parts. They almost act as our go-between them, between adults on the OPAL team and the children in classes. So it was something that they had to apply for, and they created a little job description and a person specification which they referred to in their applications. We have a mixture of children in Key Stage 2 doing this role, and we do try and rotate it on a bi-yearly basis, a yearly basis, so that the older Grange Rangers can train the younger Grange Rangers.